Rhonda Pick, Managing Editor of Pig Health Today, and with me is Dr. Paul Sundberg. He's Executive Director at the Swine Health Information Center. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Rhonda. Good to be with you.
The Swine Health Information Center, also known as SHIC, has been coordinating efforts to prevent, prepare for, and also respond to African swine fever. Let's first talk a little bit about prevention. What are some of the key initiatives you've been working on to help the United States prevent African swine fever?
The first objective is to make sure we do everything we can do to close the windows so that virus doesn't get into North America. The United States, Canada, Mexico, really pay attention to that. So one of the things that we've done with the National Pork Board is fund a comprehensive biosecurity review of the U.S. pork industry to look for things that we haven't thought of as far as issues that we have to work on.
In 2019, SHIC received funding to study ASF in Vietnam under field conditions. What have been some of the key research initiatives going on in Vietnam?
With the National Pork Producers Council's help, we got a grant from the U.S. Foreign Ag Service. And that was to learn lessons about ASF before it gets here. With the help of this grant, we're doing research in Vietnam real time as the outbreak of ASF happens. So if it gets here, we'll be better prepared to respond to it. So we're looking at things like baking time, for example, where we bake the trailers. We want to make sure that we have the right time by temperature to disinfect ASF should it get here. We're looking in the future at pen-side tests, at the use of ELISAs to be able to detect antibody, pathways of entry onto the farm to make sure that if we get ASF, we have the tools in our toolbox so we can respond very quickly and we don't have to scramble to do that kind of research after the outbreak.
Are there any key results from that research that you can share?
Yeah, sure. For example, one thing, the baking time, 5 minutes at 145 degrees has been effective in neutralizing ASF. That's a good thing because out in our facilities, we bake trailers at 145 to 160 degrees. And so that the time and temperature that we're using in the industry now should be adequate to do that.
What is the current status of ASF in Vietnam?
It's breaking again, just like in all of Asia, China, Southeast Asia. They went through an initial wave, learning lessons helped to control it. And those were fairly successful. Increasing biosecurity on the farms, those types of things are very successful. But as they try to restock their breeding herd to get back into production, then they have the same problems again. If they don't pay very close attention to biosecurity, you go through another wave of infection, and that just continues. So in all of Asia, I think that's probably what's going on right now, is this wave after wave as the industries there try to restock their herds.
Is there anything else you'd like to share, Paul, in terms of how the U.S. industry can better prevent, prepare for, and respond to African swine fever?
We're all talking about biosecurity and national biosecurity and all of these big ideas about how we keep ASF out of the country. Well, there's a wall of customs and border protection around the border. But if African swine fever gets through that wall, it doesn't cause infection if it doesn't infect a pig in the country. And so on-farm biosecurity is absolutely critical to keep ASF out of the United States. It all comes down to local action, and the producer being able to sit down and talk with their veterinarian about their biosecurity protocols. And it's not just general biosecurity, it's international contacts. Where does your feed come from? Where does the components from your feed come from in the world? Are they ASF areas or are they free areas? Look at international contacts for service people or for your workers. Not necessarily whether you allow international people on your farm, but do your service people or your workers have contacts with outside people from the other countries? Those types of things that look at the opportunity for that virus to get into the pig. The producer's the last brick in the wall for national biosecurity, and that's really key to the whole prevention issue.
Paul, what do you think is the most logical way that ASF will actually enter the United States?
Well, we're looking at all the different windows, all the different opportunities. My opinion, most probably, as we've looked at experiences around the world, ASF has moved in meat products. And it's really important to point out that African swine fever is not a human health issue. But African swine fever does not infect people. It's only a disease of pigs. But pigs coming into contact with other meat products from pigs that have had African swine fever will get it. And we've seen that over and over in Europe, in Russia, in China, in Southeast Asia. And so that especially, we have to be really careful about the importation of meat. USDA and Customs and Border Protection regulate that, but sometimes things slip through, so that's an important thing to pay attention to.